Welcome to eVision Live from Sardinia with Dr. Alexander Kleberg
and Dietrich Busaka. Welcome in a healthy, happy, long life. And for this long life,
we have invited Jason Prall, a specialist on longevity, and he just turned a wonderful documentary movie on the Human Longevity Project.
Yes.
We saw this, we had this promoted also in the previous episodes, and so he's here, very welcome, and you had a wonderful speech. We had a wonderful workshop with you here during this conference. So, but this time you don't want to talk that much about longevity, because as you said, maybe it's not the most important thing in life.
Yes.
But we want to start with you as a person. And you started out as a mechanical engineer.
Yes.
And well, it's a bit strange when coming from a mechanical engineer actually to health and longevity. So, what at that time, what was your life? When you started out, you said you had been sick, you had been ill a lot. What was your life at that time, and what were you struggling with?
Yeah, I was following what you might call the American dream, right? This template of the American life, where you have a good job, you have a home, you have pets, you maybe have a wife or a girlfriend, and this is the thing, right? And I realized that I wasn't happy in that. And so I was getting these hints along the way that this is not your path. I didn't listen to them because they were subtle. But for me, my health challenges that I was dealing with, mostly skin issues that doctors were not capable of helping me with.
it was allergies?
It was something called seborrheic dermatitis. So this was just, it's almost like dandruff, but on your face.
It was itching?
Yeah, it's peeling, itching, kind of coming off, these type of things. Oily, scaly. And this was more in my 20s, but it continued with me for a while. And I had joint pains at 13 that carried with me for maybe 20 years.
So you had painful
So
walking?
I had, pain, and I was an
dancing.
athlete, so I was I love using my body in many ways, and it was painful when I was doing this. So I had to figure these things out for myself. So it was both this desire for a new, more exciting life, and also to solve my health challenges.
And
so
your body was talking at that
absolutely,
time.
and I think
But
they're
you didn't
very. I
listen.
think they were very related.
Okay.
Yes. So as I started to heal and understand the root causes, and there's many things that contributed, but this taught me how to sort of think about health in a better way. And so from that point, I recognized at some point I wised up and I said, I can't do this anymore. I have to follow a passion that has developed because of my own health challenges. So my health challenges gave me my passion, which is to help people heal their own health challenges. And then that ultimately, when I decided to quit my job in mechanical engineering, led to my purpose. So my passion, which was behind the scenes, boiling up inside of me, was able to sort of come to fruition into my purpose. And then I left and started doing integrative medicine, functional medicine, this type of root cause healing work with people.
That sounds so easy. We
does.
always say that within the symptom is the solution, right? It sounds so easy.
Yes.
So let's go back to that time. What was your motto in life at that time?
My motto at that time,
And your purpose maybe as
well, my purpose at that time was just to be successful.
Okay.
Just to be successful in what I thought was the traditional or only way to be successful, which is to
Career and
have a good
money
career,
and-
have good finances,
Okay.
have a love in my life, and sort of start the family and do these things. Maybe be able to travel, buy nice things, right? Give back even, But this was the standard kind of in the box thinking, right? And so when that started to break down, not by my choice, but because I wasn't loving the work I was doing, I think my girlfriend at the time and I split. I felt stuck in the ground. And me, I'm an explorer. I like to travel. I like to experience different things. And I felt like I couldn't do that. So this was sort of eating me up.
So suffering is some
Yes.
sort of clue
Yes,
to that.
absolutely.
And to really feel the suffering.
Yeah. And can you listen? How far does it have to go before
Okay.
you finally start to listen?
Yeah, this is always the question. How far did you have to go to?
Yes.
At first, I had to go quite far, and the suffering, for me, it came out in bitterness, in anger, in frustration with people, with everything. And so I realized that I started sort of becoming a person I didn't really like.
Mhm.
And it wasn't all the time. It was just often enough to recognize, wow, that's not really me.
In America, you have this word which I love, dis-ease.
Yes.
So it's not a dis-ease only in the body, but it's a dis-ease with people
Yes.
and with life as well.
A lack of ease,
And
or
a lack
yes,
of ease.
everywhere, and it can be
yes.
emotionally, it can be mentally, it can
Mhm.
be physically. Yes, it's and it all works together, I think.
Yes. And how far did you go with this dis-ease? Was there a special day where you got an enlightenment or you got an insight, or what helped you to shift your mindset?
Yeah, it was not philosophically profound. It was massive frustration. For me, I was tired of it. I couldn't go any farther, and it wasn't even my physical symptoms. It was emotionally. I was so frustrated with what I was doing, to the point where I said, no more. I can't do this anymore. I can't go down this path anymore.
So it was a decision that you took. at
With
one
no clear direction
moment.
from there on. I didn't know what I was going to go into. I thought, okay, I'll just go into this health thing, and I could teach people. I didn't know what to do. I never started businesses. I didn't know where to go with this, but I knew I didn't want to do this. And
Buddha
that's it.
says there are two ways for enlightenment, and one is suffering, and
Yes.
the other is love.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's
I chose the suffering path, I guess.
yes. I think most of us do,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because we don't think we need love, or we are
Maybe we don't deserve it.
we deserve
Yeah.
love. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So was there a special day you remember, a special
Special
moment?
event
Yeah,
or
the only
something?
thing I truly remember was just being at work and being so frustrated with the lack of maybe mobility or my ability to contribute. So I said, I kind of felt that, and I kind of remember a specific day, but I don't know the date. I just remember being in the office and understanding that I can't do as much as I want here. I don't have as much ability to contribute, and I'm sort of being capped in everything that I'm doing here. And
so
I just
the
remember
impulse
that.
was a no.
Yeah.
So maybe the first step, because we're trying to teach people what are the steps, and to break it really down to baby steps. So the first step might be a no, a rebellion,
Yeah.
right?
And
No,
I
I don't
think-
know where to go, but this I don't want to have anymore.
And for me, it was if I would have known this back then, it would have been very helpful. Which is, what am I feeling? Where is it coming from? So am I feeling? Because it all gets masked as maybe anger, right?
Yes.
But is it fear? Is it resentment? Is it disappointment? What is it that I'm really feeling? And then where is it coming from? Because it's easy to point at something on the surface, but what is it really coming from? And if I had been given a skill set or a tool set to analyze this, I think I probably would have come to the conclusion earlier that I'm on the wrong path. But I think this is very powerful, because you can only appreciate the light, I think, if you understand darkness a little bit, right? You can only appreciate the warmth if you experience cold. And the more cold you experience, the more you appreciate even the mildest
Mild
warmness,
warmth, yes.
right? So I think this is the polarization. This is to walk the middle path.
Yeah.
I think it's helpful to understand where the edges are, right? So I think if we can appreciate some of the pain, appreciate some of this turmoil, and understand that feeling that helps you appreciate the calmness, appreciate the beauty. I think it's very helpful.
And if you teach health now, it's important to know how people feel,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
To have gone
To
through
understand
that and not
yes.
be just a big shot
Yes.
saying all sorts of
Yes,
things.
I think compassion is much easier when you truly understand at least a little bit where somebody might be coming from.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's this rebellious no,
Yeah.
and you didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
So what was the next step?
For me, it was all it was almost mechanical. It was like, okay, I need to do these things. I need to sort of sell my house so that I have the finances to be able to quit my job.
Okay.
Okay.
So it was very practical, right?
So you said goodbye to your success ideas.
Yes.
It's another no.
Yes.
No to the house.
Yes.
No to the job.
Yeah, but for me, what I recognized at some point before I left all this, I recognized that for me, happiness was defined as degrees of freedom. This is like a mathematical term, right? But the ability to go in many different directions. And so that's ultimately what I wanted, was the freedom to follow paths as opposed to being locked into one path.
Since you didn't know the path
Yes.
anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
You,
How many
you didn't
options?
know where to go.
Yes. And so it was just a mechanical process almost of freeing that up. So for some people, it might be freeing up the clutter in their household. It might be freeing up the clutter in their finances. It might be whatever it is, but I think getting rid of the clutter allows you to invite more opportunities to come forward.
So how long did that take from this first no to selling everything
That
to
was-
Then
quitting
to
the
healing
job?
and
That was a frustrating year.
It was a year. So that's very important to know.
That was
It's
a
not
year.
just like
No, that was a
It's
year of
process.
no's. That was a year of no's. My friends were
Year
doing
of
things.
no's. I like that.
My friends were doing things and inviting me places, and I had
Yeah.
to say no because I had to work on remodeling my house. I had to. I didn't have money because I was putting it all into this one thing.
Yes.
So I honestly, once I said that major no,
Yeah.
I put everything in to the exit.
Mhm.
So I was financially committed. I was emotionally committed. I was time committed. I didn't have relationships. I didn't go on trips and do fun things. I was fully committed to getting out of that life. So it was not easy. It wasn't fun. In fact, it was probably the most challenging year that I had because I was broke. I was out of balance in terms of relationships and connections. So, but for me, it was important. It was an important investment, and I think investing fully in that, I'm all in on whatever the heck is next.
Yeah.
So the clue would be take a year of no's.
Yeah, for
And
me.
did your problems solve in
When
that
did they start
time,
to
or
come
were
in?
they back and forth?
Nothing was clear. This was.
So your knee problems, the skin problems, were
It-
they
it's-
gone just after one no, or
No.
after the year?
No, I mean a lot of it was really following the health things, right? So it was implementing health challenge or implementing health strategies to overcome, and then they eventually my skin kind of cleared up first, and that was good.
Okay.
My knee problems were slowly getting better, but
Within
this was
that year?
but this was a much longer process. So I
Yes,
think
yes, that's
yeah.
also important.
yeah, so
it takes time.
It was for my knees. It was probably a 12-year process.
Okay.
Wow.
But when you see progress
Yes.
over and over, so I think it's more important to. People are always looking for the one answer.
Yes.
I think in everything, whether it's your health, whether it's your businesses, or whether it's your relationships or your goals, it's peeling back. I think peeling back the layers of understanding, peeling back the layers of even step-by-step processes, learning new skills. If you want to be the best pianist, I think it's peeling back the layers to get to that point. So it's either adding more or subtracting more, and on a continuous basis, knowing that the journey is the whole thing.
Yes.
There is no
that's also
destination.
a-
Okay,
yeah.
now my knee's better and everything's good. No,
Yes, go
it's
back to that
keep
success
improving,
model.
yeah,
Yes.
and keep, because we're always on this decline in terms of our health.
Yeah.
This is the reality, right? After probably age 30, we start to go. So how can I
I'm not so
maintain?
sure about that.
But how can I maintain?
Yeah.
Right. So if I keep building, resisting the natural decline, maybe is the best way I can put it. Right. So, but so for me, it was constantly rebuilding and adding more things to my understanding, peeling back more of the
So
of
you
the
got
unknowns.
information, you got all this kind, because like you say, the doctors couldn't solve it. You had to get the solutions, the answers yourself.
Yeah, and this is an important understanding. No doctor heals you.
Yeah.
The body's the only thing that heals itself.
Yes.
Exactly.
It does.
So you might have somebody influence energy on you, and there are energy healers out there. You might have somebody teach you a skill to help you heal, but ultimately it's your body and your mind. And if you can understand that and take that power back, then you can use all the tools to allow the body to heal. So so this was just a constant process for me, and I think part of it was psycho-spiritually, emotionally, following your path, following your bliss, following your love, that will heal you. In fact, I've had clients that this is always difficult, but when they leave a partner that is not right, and it's a very tumultuous relationship, when they separate, healing can happen.
Yes.
Somebody
Yes.
that leaves their job, healing happens.
Yes.
Exactly.
So somebody that finds something new, like art, or something that they can pour themselves into, healing happens.
So you
So-
just leave the sickening environment in
Exactly.
a way, which is
Exactly.
also the environment of your
mind,
mindset.
yes. And
Yes.
I think it's probably the most powerful environment. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And how did you then make the step from healing yourself into also actually teaching this to other people?
This was another thing that consistently evolved, right? So I started off with the things I knew and was helping people heal. And it was good. People made progress, and I was proud of myself and feeling good that I was helping people heal. And then I would always get a client that would get maybe 80% better, and I couldn't get them the last 20%. Or maybe they had such a challenging health condition, I barely helped them at all. And so these were the cases where I was forcing myself, okay, there's something I'm missing. What is it? So it was this constant process of understanding more. And once I understood maybe one little piece, I would add that to the puzzle. And then I would continuously add. And I think this eventually taught me how humble I needed to be with healing and understanding and recognizing, wow, there's a lot I don't know. There is a lot of ways to go about this. There isn't just one way. And if I keep learning and keep being humble and open to things that I can learn and take with me to help other people, this is what eventually kept me going in the right direction, I think, and being a better healer or a better
And for
coach.
our people who view this video, you did healing on the body with nutrition, with movement, emotionally, spiritually, or what was your main focus?
First, it was very mechanical. So I was running lab tests, right? Blood tests and urine tests and these type of things. And this is a very good tool. This is what in the States, what we call functional medicine or integrative medicine.
Okay.
And it's looking at all the things that are maybe out of balance and employing ways to get them back in balance. Oftentimes this involves diet and exercise and nutritional supplements. But that was like the base. That was so level one. Then I recognized, okay, lifestyle is important. We need to talk about lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then so I incorporated lifestyle practices. And then I recognized, oh my gosh, emotional trauma is probably the most fundamental key to all the health challenges that people are experiencing. If it's cancer, if it's digestive issues, skin issues like I had, knee problems like I had, there's a fundamental emotional component to this that is unresolved, that is the subconscious mind is operating
all the time,
things.
yes.
Yes. So that was another piece that I added. And then from there, really what I learned was that I was focusing on disease. How do I solve disease or figure out disease to get disease to go away?
Yes.
Like it was this thing we're pushing out of our lives.
Yes, get out of it.
Yes, but instead, what I learned was, okay, we should be focusing on health and teaching health. And what I like to call health the light, right? The goal is not to get rid of darkness, just flip on the light.
To flip on the light.
And there is no more darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we just flip on this health, this light of health, disease goes away.
Yeah. So
And-
take off the dis of the
Exactly,
disease.
exactly. And what you find is that instead of tackling this health problem here and this health problem here and this health problem here, you're turning on the light of health and they all fade away. People report symptoms that they didn't know they had are going away, right? So they're sleeping better, maybe
Yes.
their hair grows faster, or they get less gray, or their nails start growing faster, or their eyesight improves. This wasn't their goal. These are just side effects.
So how did you teach that? We talked about these layers,
Yes.
which you did before, but now since you started to work on ease
Yes,
or on the light,
yeah.
so what changed in your practice?
What I recognized was that in our modern world, we're living totally differently, completely differently than humans have evolved to live. So, the West and our modernization is responsible for a lot of happiness and a lot of comfort and has reduced suffering in a tremendous way. But we've also, we have gotten so far away from our natural roots that we don't know how to live in balance, in harmony with, we don't know how to use our modern world appropriately for health.
Yes, and we don't live in alignment with evolution, in alignment with our body, with our spirit,
exactly.
with our heart, with our community.
Exactly. So we're sitting in front of computers all day now. We are inside. We are driving cars all over the place. We are ordering food. This is so different than the way.
From our bodies
I mean,
made for...
only 60, 70 years ago, in even the Western world, that we were living completely different.
Yes.
And if you look around the world now, about 95% of the world is probably not living that way.
Yes.
They are still in touch with the environment in some fashion. In fact, there was a recent study in the United States that showed that U.S. prisoners get more time outside.
Yes, you told that.
This is
than
than children.
This is
So
very
children
crazy.
are not going
they're
outside.
imprisoned. I always tell my people it's a golden cage we live
Yes.
in. But it's a very narrow golden cage. It's
Yes.
not 10 square meters.
Right.
It's very, very tight.
Right. So this is what we're lacking. We're lacking this in this natural cycles, in touch with the natural world. So this is what I needed to teach, I think. I needed to teach how to get people back into the rhythm of the sun and the natural light cycles and dark cycles. Teaching people how to get rid of distraction and just find quiet again. Finding quiet. Here we are recording, trying to find somewhere we can have some quiet.
Almost impossible to find
very
a quiet
to find
place here.
Yes.
this place.
Yes.
And with sunlight is also
Right.
acceptable.
So this is the challenge we now face. And this is a new challenge, and these are challenges that we've created for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We have computers and phones and everything that we're looking at all day long. We have to recognize this is a choice. These are tools. And if we misuse these tools, we will get disease. We will get bogged down. We will feel depressed. We will feel out of balance in so many ways because we're misusing the tools and the modern creations that we have now.
So you told your clients how to get up in the morning and how often to be in the light and how to change the day, or what did you practically
It was
do?
it was getting people outside as much as I could, understanding that getting outside in the morning is very critical. Just walking, going for a walk, playing with your kids. These are the powerful things. Engaging play, engaging creativity, removing chemical products from their household, right? Soaps and detergents and shampoos and all these things that we have that are so new and so unnecessary. Teaching people that being in touch with the microbial world. We're so afraid of microbes these days. I don't know about if it's as bad in Germany, but it's terrible in the US. We are so afraid of microbes. And the reality is that they are actually educating our immune system and making us stronger. We need to be in touch with the world. So it's very simple things like this. How to source good food. You know, I know in most countries I've visited, people still have gardens. This is a common thing. But now in the cities and in the US, in many places, we don't have gardens anymore. And so just teaching people to maybe grow one food, whether it's lettuce or carrots or cucumbers or tomatoes, something. Just grow something.
Somewhere on the window shelf.
Yeah, and if you do this once, all of a sudden you realize this isn't so scary. This is quite easy. And this is free food I have now. Seeds are maybe $3, you know? And so it teaches you patience. It teaches you the cycle of these things. It teaches you appreciation for the food. I remember one time when I was growing food in my backyard, I planted too many carrots. And they all were growing. I didn't spread out the timing of the planting. This is what you learn.
You have to learn that, yes.
And so I had 40 or 50 carrots all sprout at the same time, and I left some in, and anyway, I had too many. And so, but I didn't want to throw any away because I knew how long they took to grow. I poured my emotion, my work, my effort into growing these. So it taught me a completely different relationship with food. Yes, it taught me the cycles and I was getting outside. Those were all obvious great benefits, but the relationship to food changed. And I've seen this with kids. This is a very powerful trick if you're trying to get your kids to eat more vegetables or eat healthier.
Just
Give
to grow them themselves,
give your kid and say some seeds and say some carrot seeds. And these are your carrots. And then they throw them in the soil and they plant them, and those are their carrots, and they get to watch them grow. Now they have an emotional attachment to these carrots. They want to eat them. Even if they're not very good, they will want to eat them. So we just need to get in touch with these. These are very simple tools. And if we can just start to do this more, I think it becomes obvious.
What's really strange, a lot of people ask me, what do I need to get thin? What do I need to get happy?
Yeah.
What do I need? And I think the first thing is not that I need something, but that I drop a
Yes,
lot of.
I get rid of something.
Yes, to get rid. We have enough. We have everything
Too much.
we need.
We have too much.
And we don't need anything outside. We just drop all the things that are not good for us. And sometimes that helps.
I think this is powerful on so many levels.
Yes.
Okay, so we know feng shui, you know, and I'm no expert in feng shui, but I've listened to enough people talk about it, and I understand it, and intuitively it makes sense to me that things in our household or our rooms will affect the energy. And here's a good trick, a good tool that anybody can do. Go throughout your house, and the things that you're not using, that you don't need, the things that you're not wearing, the shoes, the clothes, just start to put them in a pile and give them away. You'll notice many things that goes on in this process. You have an emotional attachment to a physical object, whether it be, maybe it was a sentimental value. But what are you really holding on to there? It's emotional attachment to something that's completely different than what the object actually is. Or you have clothes that you have an emotional attachment to. So you can analyze these emotions and say, what is this? Why do I have this emotional attachment to this? But then as you get rid of these things and give them away, not only are you giving them away to maybe some people who actually need them, so you feel good about giving them away, you're clearing the space, you're getting rid of all these clogged emotions that you realize are so unnecessary, and you can start to move forward. But this is like, imagine a backpack and you're throwing everything in your backpack.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to be so weighed down by all this garbage. And so it frees up the space. You're giving away, which makes you feel good. You are clearing the energetics of the area, and you're releasing these emotions, and you're becoming more in touch with yourself
Yes.
because you're
And with
understanding.
simplicity. I had a client and she chose on January 1st to drop one thing a day
Ah,
to give it
love
away.
that. It's a-
And she felt lighter and lighter and lighter
and it's because
lighter
and you
every
get
day.
you get addicted to this. I
Yes,
promise you,
yes,
this
she-
is
next
Yes.
year she said the same thing.
yes.
And there was always enough in the house to
Yes.
give something away.
This is what we recognize when we travel to the longevity areas like
Yeah.
Sardinia and Costa Rica. We recognize that they didn't have many things, but they didn't need many things. If you really boil it down to what you really need, it's very, very little. You don't need a lot. Now, this will help you in terms of the food choices you're making. And I understand cuisine is important, especially in a lot of the European nations that have deep, rich culture. Because in the United States, we don't have as...
It's community culture as well.
yes.
Eating is community.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's traditions and there's recipes and these
Yes.
things.
Yes.
But if you can just simplify these things, like in Costa Rica, we would have beans, rice, maybe some lettuce, maybe a little
Tortillas.
bit of fish, and plantains. And that's it. No seasonings, no spices, no sauces. It was so bland and plain, but it was so delicious because it was from
Fresh.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't think food has to be exotic and crazy and elaborate. And it definitely shouldn't be, processed and in packages. So simplifying everything. Instead of buying the new organic apple chips for €3,
Make
get
them
some.
yourself.
just get an apple.
Yes.
That's maybe €1.
Bite into it, yeah.
And then that's all you need.
Yeah.
So we're making things too complex. Let's simplify.
Yes.
And it makes
get
it so
rid of
easy.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're coming now to
To the
your
longevity, to the
Yes.
project as such.
So
So,
that-
really, if you want to see this documentary, we really recommend you. It's a
link is
wonderful
down there.
documentary. You find the link. And this is a man who has produced it together with other people.
and who's
Yes.
seen how many centenaries have you interviewed and seen?
I think we visited maybe with 10 or 12 centenarians. We interviewed probably six or seven of them, and many people in their 90s and in their 80s. And what we really found fascinating was that even in the people that are 70 or 80, they came from a time, they remember a time that was much different.
Yes.
And I think this is maybe even more powerful, is that when you have somebody that's sort of young, 60 or 70 is not tremendously old, and yet they remember a completely different era and a way of being.
I always say I come from the last century.
Yeah, right.
Right?
So you
Or the
see how
last
fast,
millennia.
you see how fast,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
people maybe my age and younger, we grew up in a different world. I mean, I remember a time when we didn't have cell phones, in high school and this type of thing. But kids now
They
that are
don't-
15, they grew up with cell phones and computers, and the
They-
internet their
They
entire life.
don't know anything.
Do you remember
anymore
when the
before.
internet didn't exist?
Yes.
They
yes.
don't.
Kids can't even imagine this.
I remember the first computer being as big as a room.
Right. So this is, I think, an important recognition is the historical context, and how can we take the lessons from the past and bring them forward, knowing that we can't go back. We are going forward. It's going to be more technologically advanced and crazier and cooler and amazing. We're doing an interview with a phone
Yes.
Yeah.
here in Sardinia. This is tremendous.
Yeah,
The people that we interviewed would have never had this opportunity to travel across the world, interview with a phone and a tripod that's so portable. So we have to recognize this is beautiful what we have.
Yeah.
But if we take some of the lessons that we have from the past and implement them into our new life with the understanding and the philosophy that is health, I think this is the way forward, and this is
So
the power.
that's root into ancient wisdom and grow into
Into the technology.
Into the
modern
technology.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So, but I'm interested now. You had this phase of disease, then you had this phase of ease, and then you came to longevity. So,
Yes.
what was the step then? How did you come from health to longevity?
The longevity angle, I think, is very fascinating. In the U.S., we have many people thinking that we can cure aging and stop death.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, do we want to stop death? Is this an important
Not
thing?
an evolutionary idea.
No.
Evolution produced death, and I think it's necessary to have new creativity.
I totally agree with this, and I think death fosters life. So if we stop death, do we stop fostering life? I don't know, but I know that nature and evolution conserves things that make sense. So think about how easy it is to create a life. It's actually quite easy. Right? It doesn't take much effort.
From you.
Yes, but how much effort does it take to preserve life? It's quite a long effort when we get into our 90s, and to preserve that is very effortful. So I find it interesting that it's so easy for life to sprout up, but to maintain it is very, very difficult. So I think this idea has always troubled me, that we're trying to cure aging or cure death. And so part of what we wanted to do with this film was to infuse a little philosophy in this and get people to question what it is that's important. Is it important to live a really long life? Or is it important to live a high quality life with meaning and purpose and connection?
Or is it possible to live both?
Or exactly.
Also, we heard again this quote from this morning Vision, quoted again. Is it a question of just adding more years to your life, or is it a question of adding more life to your years?
Or both. I think it depends on each other.
Exactly. And I think, but if we focus on today, because that's all there ever is, right? The ever-present
all
now
there.
that we like to say. It's only now. So forget the future. Just live in the now in its
And forget
best
the
way.
past.
Exactly.
Might be even more important.
Absolutely. And if you can do that, I think then maybe you will get this idea of longevity. But at the end of the day, I could walk out tomorrow and get hit by a bus.
Sure.
Yes.
So if we don't appreciate what we have right now and appreciate all the simple things in life, I think this is the most important thing. And however long we live, we live. And we heard this from many of the centenarians. I said, what is the reason, that you have such great health and longevity? And they say, it's God's plan. It's up to God. So I love that perspective. Even no matter where your sort of philosophical standpoint on God and this type of thing is, I think this is a brilliant way to look at it.
It's trust.
Just
It's
let
deep
go.
trust,
Yes.
right?
And let it be. Yeah. So none of them thought about longevity when they were growing up. None of them tried to plan for
Write
it.
a diary,
Yeah,
so
yes,
much muscle
exactly.
training,
No,
or I
they
ate
don't
so
think
many
about it, they say.
calories or something.
So they never took any supplements.
No,
in their
they
life.
weren't thinking, if I do this, maybe I'll live longer. No, they were just doing what they did every day. They had deep, meaningful connections. They supported each other. They appreciated the smallest things, because a lot of them struggled. Like when we go back to pain and suffering, they understood suffering and pain.
Yes.
They went through World War IIs. They went through armistice. They went through
Hard
civil
work.
wars. Oh, they worked every day tremendously hard.
Yes.
So when you have this struggle, this strife, I think this is where the appreciation, the gratitude comes from the simple things. So I think we need to get back to some of this. We don't have to work as hard as they do, but I think we can still appreciate the simple things, right? The fact that we can get a bottle of water like that, so simple. So they had to go find water. They had to go source water. They had to go store. We have things so easy, and I think if we can just appreciate the simple part of what we have, I think this is what we need to take with us as things continue to get easier and more comfortable for us.
Did this project change something, transform your life?
Are you a different person
No.
today than you have been before?
Undoubtedly. I
What
think
would be your motto after this?
I think what stuck with me, and these were things I maybe knew on the surface, but they really got entrenched, was the value of simplicity.
Yes.
The true value. I don't mean on a surface level. I mean the real value and the ripple effect of not over-consuming and over-producing things. This is what was going to sustain us in the long haul. So simplicity, personally and for the greater good. And I think the other thing is to not hold grudges and have great relationships with those around you. So I think a lot of us think, okay, if we just have a good community, we have good connections, that's enough. I don't think it's enough. I think we also have to get rid of this anger, this resentment, this all these negative things that we hold.
Isolation.
Yeah, from other people that may have hurt us, whether it be our family or whether it be good friends or a past lover or ex. get rid of the anger, the resentment, all those negative emotions. So I think, yes, community and connection is fantastic, but let's get rid of the trash on the other side too. So this came up over and over again. Hold no grudges. Hold no grudges, because this is a burning stress in the subconscious mind that will sabotage your health, sabotage your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health at every turn. So that's really stuck with me, I think, to really work on that from myself. How can I forgive? How can I let go? How can I let go of the grudges? And this is a challenge. This is work, especially in our modern world, because they had communities that were reliant on each other for survival.
Yes, they had to figure it out in some
We
way
don't.
or other.
I don't need community
You
to
can say
survive.
bye-bye.
Yes. So this becomes much more difficult. I can hold a grudge very easily, and if I was in a community that was reliant on survival, it's pretty. It would be easy to let go of grudges because it's necessary. It's not necessary for me to let go of grudges in order to survive, but it is to maintain health and a good optimistic standpoint in life and in your emotional state. So I think a lot of the things they were forced to do, we are given the opportunity to do.
To do it by free will.
Yes, and this is a challenge.
Yes. So you had, let's say, 3 phases. It was from success motto and disease to ease and light and health, and now it's changed to community, gratitude, and something
Meaningfulness.
purpose.
This is all the spiritual teachers have been telling us for the longest time. I just didn't listen. So I think this is all the spiritual traditions, all the religions, all the medicine people that have come from before us, and all the wise people, all the old wise people that have been telling us. And so sometimes we have to find our own way to that.
And it's been there all along.
It's
so
been there
that's
all
the
along.
new insight.
And I think if I could offer anything, it's you will hear this over and over again from all kinds of people. And if you're not there yet, just continue to go on your path and be open to receiving it when it's there. So I think we beat ourselves up because maybe we're not as maybe enlightened or spiritually evolved or as wise as somebody else. I have definitely felt this. I think if we just let go of that and find our own path and recognize and be open to receiving that wisdom and that enlightenment, if you will, along the way, I think you can enjoy the process of letting it all unfold.
So what would
Beautiful.
your 5 inspirations? It's first saying no to all of this common stuff.
Yes, I think saying no is a very good place to
Important.
start. To the things that don't resonate with you in the heart.
No,
So,
no.
Yeah, follow your heart and turn things down when they're not right for you. I would say another easy thing to implement is to simplify your life.
Yes.
So just start wherever you start. Simplify your routine, simplify your relationship, simplify your job or your food or your clutter in your house. Just start somewhere and start simplifying. I think another one is to focus on health and bringing health up as opposed to getting rid of disease.
Yes.
So
Very
instead
important.
of pushing things away, invite the good things, and the bad things, if you will melt away. To sort of contrast that, I will say, recognize whatever pain and suffering you're going through as a teacher, as a tool. Don't look at it as something you want to get rid of, as something that's so.
Enjoy the process
Yes,
of suffering.
and realize it's there for you.
Yes.
This is a teacher for
it's
you.
a lesson.
If you can be if you can have gratitude for the pain, and recognize it's trying to teach you something, how to live in harmony somewhere, and it's your job to sit with that, to understand it, and to figure it out, and love the process that you're going through. This is why my 20-year process of figuring out my knee pain, I'm now understanding how beautiful it was, because it led me to where I am. So it is the thing that's going to get you going on your path of being in greater harmony. So I think don't look at your pains and suffering in a negative way. Enjoy them. Be grateful for them.
Yes.
And that will ironically help you get rid of them.
Yes. The
So
solution is in the symptom.
flipping that
Yes.
perception around. I don't know how many that is, but let's see, what else? I would say accept that life is about living in the now, that it's not about the future, it's not about the past, and if we can just accept being here today and becoming more present in everything we do, just sometimes taking just stopping, looking around, going, wow, this is cool. I'm here today. You know,
It's just a
Being-
minute. Like
yeah,
that.
just every now and again. And the more you can just interject that into your day, I think it starts to become more of a habit, and you start being grateful for what you have. And I would say the last one is meaning.
Meaning.
See where your meaning is right now. Are you placing meaning in celebrity? You know, are you placing meaning in money and finances? Are you placing meaning in even finding your purpose? I think this is sort of this weird thing we get caught up in, that I need to go find what I'm here to do.
Yes.
Maybe just find meaning in the simple things, and maybe that is your block, is because you're not even great. If you're not grateful for what you have now, why would you get more of something that you're not going to be grateful for? So where is your meaning going? Is it going into the simple things? Is it going into the things that are really most important? You can often look at and maybe write your epitaph, or think about your if you were on your deathbed, what would you regret? What would you want one more day of? What would you find really valuable? Who would you want to talk to? So I think it's just a good way to recognize that you're not here forever, and we don't know how long we have. And if you find meaning in the things that are most important, I think it will facilitate such a more peaceful life.
Beautiful. So Jason, thank you so much being with
It
us.
was
Thank
very
you.
valuable.
I hope you
enjoyed
profit
it.
from it, you enjoyed
And
it.
the link is down there for the longevity film.
Yes,
It's a
and
series of
please leave
films,
your
yes.
comments below, your takeaways from this wonderful talk chat with Jason. Thank you so much.
No,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
guys.
much.
This is a pleasure. I'm so glad we were able to connect in Sardinia, of all places.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for listening, for watching, and
Open your heart and start.